Remember Martyrs? The French horror movie released back in 2008, you know, during the height of the so-called new French extremity wave. I feel like this movie has already become a sort of a modern classic, you know, with fans appreciating it for its mixture of suspense and gore or torture porn, and, you know, its philosophical aspects. So, naturally, when a remake was announced, the fans couldn't wait to light their torches and burn down the producers' houses. Me, I'm never really like that. I mean, sure, a lot of American remakes aren't that great, especially not compared to their original, but that doesn't mean that you can't just enjoy them for what they are. So, unlike the vast majority, I went into this one quite open-minded. The story is, for the most part, similar to the French original, which, if you aren't familiar with that one, well, it tells the story of Lucy, a young girl that's taken into an orphanage after she escapes from, well, what we can only imagine must have been horrible. She's scarred, both literally and figuratively, but eventually she does find comfort in a new friend, Anna. And yes, they have the exact same names as in the French original. So, cut to 10 years later, when Lucy finds out the address of the people that kept her locked up when she was little, and goes out for revenge. But this, of course, doesn't go as planned. If you're familiar with the French original, then you'll probably already recognize quite a lot of key scenes that look pretty similar, you know, in this remake. It's like I said, this movie follows the original quite closely. For the first half. You know how in the original you can sort of divide the story in two parts? Well, in this remake, for the second half, screenwriter Mark L. Smith, he took quite some liberties from the source material. And yes, that is the same Mark L. Smith that co-wrote the immensely popular The Revenant. Didn't see that one coming, did you? I don't want to spoil the second half. I mean, it still follows the general outline of the original. It's just the way in which things unfold, they're a little different. For the worse, in my opinion. But hey, at least they tried to do something a little different, and that I did like. Or, you know, well, at least I appreciated it. Mostly because this stopped the movie from being a shot-for-shot remake, which it felt like quite a bit during the first half. So, these differences, is it dumbed down? You know, dumbed down for the stupid Americans that can't read subtitles? Well, in all honesty, the French original really wasn't all that intellectual to begin with, in my opinion. You know how a lot of people make it out to be like super smart? I mean, the whole philosophical aspect is still pretty much intact in this remake. If anything, I would just say that it is a lot less nihilistic, you know, this remake, the second half and the ending. You know, it's way less of a downer. But, you know, is that per se a bad thing? I mean, it's not like it's a competition to see who can make the most heartbreaking movie. I mean, not every movie has to be like that. So, in general, what did I think of this remake? Well, I definitely didn't hate it. Let's start by looking at some of the good stuff. In all honesty, on a technical level, it's really not that bad. Perhaps a little generic, but really, the acting was good enough. I thought the cinematography was interesting, although I hated the cliché shaky camera during some of the action. Really, like, what is up with that? The music, it didn't really stand out or anything, but in one scene in particular, I thought the score worked pretty well. Really, how this movie is made, it's definitely good enough. Besides that, you know, besides the technical aspect, the pacing was good. The movie runs for a little under 90 minutes, and I wasn't bored for one of those minutes. So really, it really isn't that bad. But it's also not all that great. Compared to the original, it's less scary, less suspenseful, less brutal, less interesting, you know, definitely when it comes to the ending. In general, it's just less memorable. So, does that make this movie unnecessary? Sure, but you know, I always find that this is kind of a lame, like a lazy argument against remakes. I mean, if you really think about it, aren't a lot of movies unnecessary? Again, like I said, it's not a competition. Not every movie ever made has to be the best one ever. You know, otherwise we wouldn't have movies like Sharknado. Like, sometimes you just want to pop in a movie and be entertained for like 90 minutes. But hey, that's just kind of the problem with remakes like this. They'll never get a fair chance. As of right now, this movie scores a 3.3 on IMDb, with more than 1/3 of the votes being a 1-star rating. Really? Because a 1-star rating basically means that the movie couldn't be any worse. So do the people that vote this movie a 1-star, do they honestly think that this movie is worse than for example, Das Koma Brutale Duell? I don't think so. But you know, that just comes to show how sort of useless this whole IMDb rating system is. Especially with comments like, "I would much rather be skinned alive than to watch it again." Really? You would really rather be skinned alive, you know, probably die, than to watch a 68-minute horror movie again? Really? Really think about what you just said for a second. Then again, on Rotten Tomato it scores an 8% rating, so I guess people do really hate this movie. I didn't hate it, and you know, I can honestly imagine that if, you know, just some random casual horror film watchers, if they would stumble upon this movie without being familiar with the original, that they'll enjoy it. I mean, it happened with the Oldboy remake. I saw comments of people that weren't familiar with the original who saw the remake and, you know, thought it was pretty cool. Would these people like the original Martyrs or the original Oldboy? Would they like them better? Perhaps. Probably. But in that case, isn't it cool that they found out about the original? I mean, if it wasn't for these remakes, maybe they would have never even heard of these original movies. And, you know, I honestly don't see anything wrong with that. Remakes ruin the original movies. No, they don't. They're still right here. Anyway, sorry for this little rant, but I always get so annoyed when I read these discussions on the IMDb message boards, you know, when it comes to remakes. It's quickly back to the movie. It's okay. I liked it for what it is. I mean, it's definitely not fantastic, especially not compared to the original, which, if you haven't guessed already, you know, I quite enjoyed the original French one. But really, it's not that bad. Come on, guys, get off your high horse. So, did any of you guys see this movie already? Thoughts? Or you want to like discuss remakes or this remake or remakes in general? You know, leave me a comment in the comment section below. And well, then I'll see you guys next time. Have a nice day.